NFL Players Union is pushing for no more locker room interviews.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And old buddy for Cincinnati.
Jamar.
No. Karras.
Ted Karras.
Yeah.
Ted Karras, our guy Ted Karras, came out and spoke about it because he is a representative for the Cincinnati Bengals. He basically came out and said, "We have massive respect for journalists. We really do. We would just like, the sanctity of the locker room to remain a thing." So now Jamar Chase is doing a press conference instead of an interview in his locker, at his locker in the locker room. He'll be doing a news conference, press conference, which I think a lot of people in Cincinnati were alarmed by, that Jamar Chase was holding a press conference. I think he's just doing his interview at the podium instead of in the locker room. Austin Eckler, I believe, also doing the same thing. He'll be doing the meeting with the press at a podium as opposed to in the locker room. I think this is a move by players to try to get the locker room cleared out a little bit of journalists. Now, journalists are a very vital part of the NFL.
Yep.
There is full meetings before the season, during the season, after the season, talking about how important media is to covering the game. For fans to get a sense of relatability to the players, to follow along with the team that they love so much through these media outlets that are assigned the task of following one team forever. But players have always been a little bit questionable or questioning of like how much time they're in there, what they're allowed to do, how they're allowed to do it. You got dudes that are naked walking around. You got sensitive stuff going on. You got hangout time happening. And then obviously the media, who is good people.
Most of them.
Most of them. Not all of them. We know that. Everybody knows that. But most of them good people trying to do their job. But the people that aren't great trying to do their job, trying to pry, pull things, get things at the locker, eavesdrop into conversations. I mean, it's just like players have long been trying to do this. Feels like with Jamar and Eckler and other people, maybe the time is going to come for it to happen.
It is, yeah. And got to get some of those weird meat watchers out of that locker room.
What's that mean?
You got to get them out of there. You know
What does
what
that
it
mean?
means.
No, what does it
do
mean?
your own research. But But
What do you mean? What you say? Is Cap Cole in, or is
Someone
it-
bringing like
It's
hamburgers.
It's like Weight Watchers.
There we go. Yep, you guys
Yep.
got hamburgers.
Gotcha.
You know, you
We
got
weren't in the
sandwiches
NFL.
laying around. Yeah.
That was Jerry Jones.
Oh, you're talking
about.
kielbasa and hot dogs.
But to your point, they are very important, especially like
Let's talk about people looking at people's penises.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's what he's looking at.
You talking about dog watching?
Not everybody.
it's some weird shit that goes. Like I said, it is an intimate setting, but
the hell?
You need it. We do have that cool off time. After whether it's practices, before, after practices, or games more specifically. But guys are fired up. But I think it's important to get those post game reactions from players, and everybody doesn't go to the podium and do a press conference. And for the local beat writers, like they have a job to do. Like it's fans that follow the Patriots, the Giants, whoever these teams really close, and you want kind of day to day. How did this guy practice? Is he healthy? Is he this? So you need that access. I think it is very, very important. So I'm not a fan of taking the reporters out of the locker room. I think that is a place that they should be. You get even like the post-game stuff. Post-game, 15 minutes after the game, like I want to hear from certain players. And, we got a job to do as well, so I think it helps us.
Yeah, I heard some media person chit-chatting about if we're not in there, how do we build up the relationship to be able to tell the story accurately? Like they were talking about during COVID, how it was a lot of Zoom things, and it was like, go look back and what that was like. And the media person also said the players experience the Zoom stuff, and we're like, this.
Let's just do that.
This is what we need to do. I assume there'll be a meeting in the middle. And I think some teams have a much more open locker room than other teams. I think that is. I think there's a standard for the amount of times each person has to talk, and I think coordinators have to speak once a week out in the hallway. Normally they do it. Players have to be available, I think, for 15 minutes to media in the locker room at least once throughout the week. I think
have to be
available or whatever. But can you move that to a spot?
Yeah, just
right
down.
outside.
Yeah, can you do that during the week? And then game day, after games, locker room already has cameras, TV cameras in it and everything. I think that's a little bit more of an open spot. I'm indifferent about it completely. I didn't talk to the media really ever, so I'm okay with how it goes. But you could see how some guys would potentially not want,
Yeah, most players, you want to keep it as much football as like football. You don't want to do but that is a part of it. That's why it's so big. That's why players make so much money, because that's what we talk about it every day for hours. Like it's that important, it's that big. And if you are a local beat writer, that's kind of like your edge compared to the national writer. We have a national game. Now everybody's going to come in. All the big wigs going to come in and get that access. But if you're there grinding, the Mark Cabolas of the world that's in Pittsburgh, day in and day out, that is how you build those relationships. And I had good relationships in all the different locker rooms that I was in with the different, local reporters. And they got a tough job to do, honestly. So getting that access, building good relationships, not being assholes, not being rats, because you are privy to a lot of things that other people aren't. So, I mean, I'm kind of on the side of reporters here, and I know players, when you're in that spot, like you feel like, hey, when they keep it football, keep that stuff as minimal as possible, but those people got a job to do.
What would you say there were some people doing in there?
Some meat watchers in there, all right? And I'm not talking about the ladies.
No.
Yeah.
Talking about some weird situations. There's some weird timing. Like, I've seen some weird timing of when people approach people. Like, I'll be sitting there, once again, I do not talk to the media ever, really. Wasn't asked. Punter shouldn't be talking.
Couple times
I get sent out there, obviously, to the podium.
Yeah.
Very interesting
Go
times.
on, funny guy.
Go on. Yeah. You're representing our whole locker room. Go ahead. Good luck out there. Okay, sweet. That's good news. But then you see, like, the timing in which people would walk up, and it's like, there has to be a better way to go about doing what you're doing. They're trying to do their job, yada, yada, yada. Feels like Chase, Eckler, many others might start doing this to kind of see how it goes. Yep. And we'll kind of see how the storyline develops. I saw you speak. Great Cincy hat, by the way, raising money for the city while selling stuff. Teddy,
thank you very much.
You're a good dude, Teddy. I'm happy you drank that gallon of milk every single day your junior year of high school to get to this point, to be a professional football player. We need people like you in positions to make change. Let's talk about that change that's potentially happening right now. You spoke about it. The NFLPA is pushing, I think, publicly for the first time that I know of, to potentially change the way journalists and media are allowed to be in the locker room, when they're allowed to be in the locker room. What is the overall message here, and how likely is it of happening, you think, Teddy?
I think it's going to come down to a solidarity issue with the union and setting up the protocols per team. But this has been a conversation we've had since COVID, really, when they were out of the locker room. And this isn't an indictment against the PFWA or, we're not looking to pick a fight with the media. This is just what, as an elected representative, the guys want. And, we're, as elected officials, beholden to respect our constituents' wishes. And guys want to feel more comfortable in the locker room. There's about 10 to 15 guys per week that get interviewed on a regular basis. And if we can move that outside of the locker room to somewhere close, I think it'll help, the overall comfortability of everyone else.
Okay, so that's kind of the plan here, is because we saw Jamar do it. I think Austin Eckler's doing it. We assume others will do it. Instead of doing this in the locker room where other people are potentially getting eavesdropped or potentially in the background saying things because that is their locker room, we just want more to happen as like press conference type things as opposed to those happening. What about after games? Are you talking about after games in locker room convos too? What are your thoughts there? What are the messaging there?
So the stars will still go to the podium after games. I think it's going to be a little bit. I think we're going to have to do in the locker room at games as we work this out, at least for now. But the main focus of at least the protocol we're putting together in Cincinnati is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, guys picking days to go to a designated spot where all the beat writers and all the local news and the national media can then do their 5 to 10 minute interview without encumbering, because I get a lot of interviews, and my two locker mates, Alex Kappa and Cordell Volson, both can't access their locker as I'm getting interviewed by 20 people. And so I just think it'll be a convenience factor, a comfortability factor, but it all comes down to, these individual teams, coming up with a good protocol. And we got to work with the media. This isn't, we're not trying to pick a fight, like I said. We're just trying to kind of revamp the media procedure to open up the locker room a little bit more.
Reimagine it in this post-COVID world, because I assume what the media is saying is the players loved it during COVID because they just go to a Zoom call and they don't have to do anything. That affected our jobs, though, in getting nothing. So inevitably, you guys are going to meet in the middle. For you, it sounds like the way you want to meet in the middle is we will give access, obviously, at a place. Everybody can be there. You already do interviews at that spot. You have your desk. After games, I think it's going to be tough for you to give up that, Ted. I think after games in the locker room, I think that's going to be a tough one for you guys to give up. I think.
Especially on road games, and we're going to we're working through this, and this is obviously a new thing. And I want to work closely with the PFWA. I want to reassure all the football writers that this isn't a excuse for players to duck out on their media obligations. We're still required to be available to talk once a week, available every day, but talk once a week. And, I think that our team, we've already talked about it. I don't think we're going to have any problems with that. And I've already told our local media, if you do, just come to me and we'll set it straight. But we want to, make this as smooth as possible for everyone.
Yeah, the locker room is, and you said the sanctity of the locker room, it is very real. But media covering the NFL, very important. So hopefully you guys are able to figure it out for the entire league. Connor has a question for you about it a little bit more.
Yeah, Ted, we think it was in the new media deals, but one of the new things that has happened this year before prime times and some other games are right before the game starts, some of the player interviews, and they also do some of it with the coaches as well. What's the reaction been with that? Because, we talked about it before. I think it was the Bills-Jags game. They were literally interviewing Von Miller while he was in the tunnel right before he was sprinting out through, the smoke and everything. Has there been any conversations about that between the players around the league?
We're mostly focused on the, locker rooms after practice right now, but that is a topic that's come up. And, we understand that this is an entertainment business overall, the NFL. So, we're going to keep working through that. I personally think that's a little bit crazy. I would give a horrible interview right before.
Everybody does. Everybody does.
Yeah. I'm in a different world. And so, we're going to keep working through it. And again, everyone's going to get their content.
Whoa.
So we don't want to scare anyone off from that. We just want to, like you said, reimagine the whole procedure.
Okay, well, hey, win some damn games over there, Teddy. Okay?
Come on,
You're
Ted.
telling me, Pat.
Win some damn games. Figure out how to operate the players in the media relationship for the rest of the league. Multiple billions of dollars, Teddy. Figure that out. Win some games and raise some money for the fine people of Cincinnati and back here in Indianapolis. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Teddy, how we feel? Body feel good?
I'm feeling good, man. We're ready to roll, man. We got Sunday Night Football against the Giants. We need to put one in the left-hand column.
Hell yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Karras.
Yeah, Teddy.